How's it going, YouTube? So today we're going to be preparing my STI for the Dyno Day. I have a Dyno Day scheduled for Sunday with Steve. I'll link his channel below. So today we're going to do an oil change, look over the car, and make sure all the fittings are good, all the fluids are good, and switch over the car to E85. He sent me a base map yesterday to see how it runs, get it going. So make sure by when we do hit the dyno, it's fully on E85 and not E70, E80, since we are going for all the power we can make. Hopefully on E85, we're gonna push it to about 45 pounds of boost. And then for the kill map, I have E98, which will be pushing for probably close to 50 pounds, and see what this car makes. Now, time to do the oil change, and then look over the car, and then switch to T85. All right, be right back. All right, so while we wait for the 2050 oil to drain, we will inspect everything. So we're going to be checking all the T-bolt clamps for all the couplers. We'll be checking vacuum lines, make sure they have zip ties. The only reason this one doesn't have a zip tie is because when we're on the dyno, we want the dyno to know how much boost we're running. So we're gonna have to tee into that. So that's the only reason why. But every other vacuum line should have a zip tie on it, just like that one. And after the dyno, we're obviously gonna put a zip tie on that one. But we're gonna check the oil feed line, vacuum lines, make sure all the injectors are all good. Check the boost controller, make sure that has no holes in it, because obviously we don't need no boost controller issues while on the dyno. Check coolant, make sure that's good. Obviously we're doing a fresh oil change. Check the fuel system. We're gonna empty out the catch can while we're down there. I don't know if you can see it right there from underneath. We'll be able to drain the catch can if there's anything in it. It's only been on the car for about 200 miles. So we'll check that. And while we're waiting for this, we'll get to work on all this stuff. So back to the time lapse. All right, so I just looked over everything. Those are a little loose. That bottom one was pretty loose. Top one was already tight. Those T-bolts were already tight. The oil feed line was slightly loose. We noticed that when we did the transmission swap a few weeks ago, that there's some residual oil. That could have been it, but everything so far looks tight and good. Still waiting on that 2050. It is currently like 40 degrees outside, and it is pretty cold for that 2050 to drain. It might be a minute until it's fully drained, but until then, let's see. Is there anything else we could look over? Obviously, we'll empty out the catch can when we're underneath. Well, that's good. Map sensor has a zip tie on it, so that's good. I'll have to check those T-bolt clamps underneath the piping, underneath the manifold. But let's talk about the car a little bit. So it's got an IG Stage 4 Extreme case. It was built by Steve, the guy that will be tuning my car actually this Sunday. It's got a Manley crank, IG tri-beam rods made by Manley, some JE pistons, 14 mil head studs, Kelford 282 cams, ported heads. It's got a ETS Gen 2 version 2 header, HMS turbo kit, HMS intercooler piping for the most part that's been modified multiple times, Precision 6870, FIC 2150s, -8 feed, -6 return, Aeromotive, I believe the A1000, fuel pressure regulator. Let's see, I'll pop the trunk so you guys can see what we got more in the back. Oh, got some Fred Meyer's water. That's the secret. Don't forget. No, but for real, we got a Radium triple pumper with two high flow 450s and one Hellcat 525 pump. So triple pumps, -8 feed, -6 return. All the lines done by Steve at HMS. All the fuses and everything are underneath this hardwood floor. Obviously my air ride, since the car is on air ride, but -8 feed, -6 return, triple pumper, dual 450s, one 525, 2150 cc injectors. Hopefully that is enough to make the power I'm going for. This is what I would look over if you're planning to get your car tuned. Just check over the basics. Check the battery, make sure everything's tight. Check your intercooler piping or couplers. You know, check vacuum lines. Make sure you have zip ties. Make sure your fuel system's good. Vacuum lines don't have any tears. Fresh oil change. Make sure your coolant's topped off and properly bled. Because the last thing you want is to be on the dyno paying close to $1,000 for your tune and your car having cooling issues or any sort of issue where they have to take your car off the dyno, work on it, spend more time, more money when you could have done it the day before and checked it. But again, anything can happen. We're just trying to prevent any sort of issues and make sure the tuner can just get on the dyno, open the laptop, and start tuning and do his magic. Hopefully soon that oil will be drained. Let me show you what oil we'll be using. So up until now, we've used Penn grade 20W50. I'm currently out of pen grade, so we'll just use whatever I have spare of. Some VR1 20W50. Many people have used it. It's high zinc. It's a lot of race cars and people that make a lot of power use this oil, and they've never had issues. I've never had issues, but we'll go back to it. We got a K&N oil filter going back on. That's currently what's on the car. So let me quit talking and boring you guys. Let's wait for this oil to drain and then get back underneath there, get the oil swapped out, put the good fuel in, switch the map, and see how she runs. So while we're waiting for the oil to drain, I figured I need some E85. In this barrel I have E85. In this barrel I have E98. I already have two 6-gallon drums filled with the E98, so we're good for that. Currently I have two 6-gallon drums that I'm going to fill up with E85 so I can put it in the car after I finish my oil change. Now let's get pumping. Filled the two 6-gallon fuel drums of fresh E85. Now let's go check back on the car, see if it's finished draining the oil. Hopefully, because I'm running out of daylight. Alright, as you can see, the oil has been changed. The oil is green. Don't mind all that stuff. That's just whatever was in this, since it does stay outside in the rain. The catch can, about 200 miles on it. Nothing in it except water, which I can only assume is from the rain because it's been pouring down rain. But let's fill her up and let's start her. All right, as you can see, it is now getting dark. Just finished the oil change. Now let's start it. The car is almost out of gas. We'll wait for it to get a little closer to being empty, and we'll fill it up with the E85 and switch maps. But for now, let's start it and check the oil. All right, as you can see, that's all the fuel we have left of the pump gas. Let's start it and see how she runs. Still on pump. here, she's running. No oil leaks, no nothing. Motor sounds quiet. All right, so just let it run for 30 seconds to a minute, and I checked the oil. It was about half a quart low, topped it off, and now we're good to go. Now let's let it warm up, and let's just go around the block a little bit, try to waste more gas, try to get as close to empty as possible before filling up on E85. We'll be right back. Well, we ran it as close to empty as possible. That's how low we are. So, time to change the map to the E85 base map. Reflash. Pump gas, E85 base map. Flashing, I think. Oh wait, it's communicating. Time to flash. Turn, please turn and leave the vehicle, the ignition into off position. Okay. Back on the on position. Okay. Map has successfully been changed. Leave the ignition off for 15 seconds. All right, time to go put E85 in it and start it. See how it runs. We got a full tank of E85, as we can see. Now let's start it, see how she starts. AFRs are looking good. So far, everything seems good. Let me run it for a few seconds to actually get the full E85 in it, and I'll catch you right back. Well, it's been a long day. Did the oil change, overlooked the whole car, made sure everything's good. As far as I can tell, everything's perfect. Just ran it on E85, went around the block, put like 2, 3, 4 miles on it, and everything seems perfect. Everything seems good. I'm gonna send the dialogue to Steve to see what he thinks. Send him a video of what I took of how the car drives. Everything seems fine, and if there needs to be if he needs to send me another map, an updated map, so be it. But I'm pretty excited. Today's Wednesday and I'm getting tuned Sunday, so I gotta have a few days to drive it. I'm trying to get this tank empty, drive it as much as I can, and hopefully put another full tank of E85 just to make sure there's no pump gas in it. So I appreciate everyone coming by, and I appreciate all the positive vibes on the last video. And you probably won't see another video until Sunday night or Monday morning. Until next time. See you later.